Alright guys, so practice quiz 1 for working with y equals ax plus b, or the equation of a line. Last question, number 5. We're almost home free. And once again we're going to be working with that general rule, and we've been asked to build the rule for y equals ax plus b for a line that passes through the point A and B. So just like last time, we've been given 2 points and we're being asked for the rule. So remember, in order to generate the rule of a line, we need to really have 2 pieces of information. We need to know the slope of that line. We need to know the slope of that line, and we need to know the initial value of that line. The slope and the initial value are the rate of change in the initial value, which are the a and the b of the equation. The easiest one to get, and the one that we're going to get automatically, again, is going to be that a. And we know which formula we're going to use by now. I'll go ahead and I'll identify which of my x's and y's is x1 and y1, and I'll come down here and I'll identify x2 and y2, and I'll take a second and I'll write out the formula. A is equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Very good idea to always show that formula. I know it feels redundant sometimes, but it's just a good habit to get into, and it'll allow you part marks if you make a calculation error, because it tells me that you know what you're doing. And remember, that's part of your job, right? Not just to get the answer, but to make sure that you can share that answer. And so we can go ahead and do the substitution now. y2 is negative 2 minus 36. Divide that by negative 3 minus negative 60. I'll simplify. So negative 2 minus 36 is negative 38. And negative 3 minus, oops, I missed the negative there, sorry. Negative 3 minus negative 60 is equal to positive 57. I've got a negative over a positive here, and that's telling, because you can see that that's a negative number, and you can see that your slope, your rate of change, is going to be a negative number, right? To get from A to C, I'm going to have to go down, which of course is negative for the y, and then a positive for the x. And so I'm going to simplify that, because that's a pretty ugly fraction. Negative 38 divided by 57, and we'll see how pretty or not that is. Now, in this instance, we're getting a non-repeating infinite decimal. Sorry, a repeating infinite decimal. This is negative 0.6 repeating. Now, because I've been around a while and I was old, and I'm old and I've been taught fractions, we actually know that fraction is equal to 2/3, or at least I do, and some of you might recognize that, and that's cool if you do, but you really don't need to know it. But what is important, what you do need to remember, is you really need to maintain that repeating component. You can't just round this off to 0.6 right away, because it's going to really change the numbers later on. So we're going to symbolize the fact that that's a repeating decimal by putting that little bar over the top of the 6. On the calculator, that last 7 there is just because that's where they did the rounding. After all of those decimals, they rounded it because the calculator ran out of space to show it. But in truth, that 6 would go on forever, eternally. It's a repeating infinite decimal. So you got to take that into consideration when we do some calculations. I'll show you how to do that as we go along. The A is done. We know that the rate of change is a negative 0.6 repeating. We now have to get the B. And just like last time, in order to get the B, we're going to do it with a substitution. We know the A, so I'll just label that negative 0.6 repeating. I have an x and a y, which will come from my point 1. So my x will be equal to negative 60, and my y will be equal to 36. And that will leave me with what I'm looking for, which is the B. So I have an A, I have an x, a y, and I'm looking for that b. I use the general rule. Y is equal to ax plus b, and the y is going to go there, the x will go there, the a will go there, and that will allow me to find the b. So I'll go ahead and do that substitution. 36 is equal to negative decimal 6 repeating, don't forget it, times negative 60, oops, that's my 0 there, times negative 60 plus b. And now we'll do this multiplication. So you can see that I've got the negative 0.666666667 on my calculator. You'll do the same thing on your calculator, and if you're not using your phone and you're using a regular calculator, you can put as many of those 6s as you can. Fill up that space with the 6s, and you're going to see that this thing is going to round that off fairly quickly. And I'm going to take that and multiply that by 60. Now why am I multiplying it by 60? Because it's negative 0.6 repeating times, negative 60. And that will give me a positive 40 plus b. And now, of course, I'm going to do the subtraction here to get rid of that 40. And I have to show that on both sides, which will leave me with my b, which is what I'm looking for. And I'm going to go 36 minus 40, which is negative 4. And now I have the rule of my line. I have the a, I have the b. So the a we know is negative 0.6 repeating x minus 4 for the b. And with that, we could go ahead now and find the missing x-coordinate, which is what we've been asked in part B. Find the missing x-coordinate if the y-coordinate is negative 20. Well, we know the equation of the line. Y is equal to negative 0.6 repeating x minus 4, which means we know the a, we know the b, we've been given a y, and the last one to find is that x. Okay, so we'll do the substitution right into the equation. Negative 20 for the y is equal to negative decimal 6 repeating, don't forget it, we're going to need it now, x, which is unknown, minus 4. Now in solving for x, we're going to add 4 to both sides, because we're going to get rid of the subtraction first, and then we'll get rid of the multiplication second by doing a division. So I'm going to add 4 there, and add 4 there. So negative 20 plus 4 is negative 16, and that's equal to negative 0.6 repeating x. That's gone, which is what I wanted. And now I have to divide both sides by the coefficient of x, which is negative decimal 6 repeating here, and negative decimal 6 repeating there. And so, come to my calculator, and I'll say negative 16 divided by negative 0.66666666666. Okay? Hit my equals, and you get 24. Now you can see that way over there, that 0.2. That's because it was rounded, and you can see it's so far away, it's insignificant. At this point, you know, you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 zeros away. We know that that's a 24. 20, and it's a positive 24, is equal to x. And so, come back over here and answer the question. 2420, which remember what we just found. We found that when the y is negative 20, right there, that x has to be equal to 24. So that concludes all the solutions to building a rule for a line from practice test 1. I'll post those solutions to the webpage. Good luck on practice quiz 2.